You know, it's not often that a team can give up 20 runs in one day and still have a pretty good day.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to a live stream of Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host. My name is Paul Francis Sullivan, but by all means, please, let's be more familiar here. Let's be less formal and just call me Sully. I've been a baseball podcaster for a long time, and I am now in my sixth full season here as a member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where I'm hosting Locked On MLB like I normally do, but this year I'm doing double duty. I am also the host of Locked On A's. By the way, check out some of the episodes I've done on Locked On A's. I'm pretty proud of them. I had one that dropped today, which is the 24th day of July, where I went to the Sacramento River Cats. And why did I go to the Sacramento River Cats on a July day at 1 p.m? Is it because I'm insane? Yes. But also, that's the stadium, Sutter Health Field, where your Sacramento River Cats, I got some more merch right here. Sacramento. There it is. Where is it? There it is. Sacramento. That's where the A's are going to be playing next year. And I did a whole podcast. I tried to do it from the stadium. It was too hot. My phone kept shutting down. The camera kept shutting down with a screen that popped up and said, turn off your camera, let your phone cool down. Go check out the episode of Locked On A's. I'll give you one little taste of it. I actually went to go sit in my seat that was in the blazing sun. Nobody else was sitting in the section because it was 108 degrees or something ridiculous. And I sat there, and Usher came up to me, and I thought he was going to check my ticket to say you're not supposed to sit there. But no, he said, are you okay? Do you have something to drink? Make sure it was testing my health to see if I was healthy enough to watch a baseball game. Ladies and gentlemen, they are going to have smaller crowds in Sacramento than they do in Oakland. And I didn't think that was possible. All right, enough of that. Let's talk. By the way, today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Booking.com. More like Booking.yeah. The Booking.com, they can get you the right place to stay, and the right stay can make the fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. All right. Today, by the way, good. If you're following Locked On A's, you'll see that the A's have won their series against the Houston Astros. They got pummeled by the Astros today, but they took 2 out of 3. And they had previously taken 2 out of 3 against Philadelphia. The A's are very close to having a winning record. The Red Sox, who were climbing close to a playoff spot, climbed into a playoff spot for a little bit. Things are still, the wheels on the bus are coming off. Some of my students in my classroom like wheels on the bus. Ezekiel Tovar led off the game against Nick Pivetta with a home run, and things just got worse from there. Tovar went 3 for 6. Doyle drove in 5. Rogers got 4 hits. Stallings got 4 hits. The Red Sox got absolutely trounced in Coors Field, and that's bound to happen. Duran had a great day. Duran was a double away from the cycle, but Pivetta got bounced, and eventually Dominic Smith was pitching by the end. Dominic Smith was practically the only one who didn't let up a run. I said it once, I said it again. We should be allowed to have a white flag. But do you know what? In a day, I can tell you, it's always better to get your butt kicked. It's better to lose by a final score of, I think it was, as my mom would say, the final score was a lot to not enough. But the final score was 20-7. And that was misleading because the Red Sox scored 4 garbage time runs at Coors. It's always better to lose like that than lose a close game. Because if it's a close game, they're like, we could have won that 27. What are you going to say? But it was a good day for the Red Sox. I'll tell you exactly why. The Red Sox did something they don't normally do. They signed someone to an extension, and that was a smart thing. The person they signed the extension to was Alex Cora. Now, Alex Cora, I will admit, is a controversial figure. He was suspended for an entire season for his involvement with the cheating scandal with the Houston Astros. People seem to forget that. They said, you missed the 2020 COVID season. Yeah, he wasn't taking care of his father. He was caught. He was one of the few people. He was one of the only people. He and Hinch were practically the only people, and Carlos Beltran were like the only people to have any sort of punishment of a cheating scandal in the closest World Series we've had in 20 years. None of the players got any punishment. The team didn't get any punishment, save for losing a couple of draft picks, and giving the fans sort of a martyr complex. But Cora was suspended. All right. He also is a fine manager, leading the Red Sox, who also cheated in 2018, and then came back and took a really, I think, understaffed Red Sox team to within 2 wins of the World Series in 2021. And here he has a rebuilding Red Sox team that looks like they're going to have a winning record. Now, whether or not they make the playoffs or not, I didn't pick them to make the playoffs, but I thought they were going to be an improved team. And I think if they are even playing meaningful games in September, I think that's a big, big step forward after a disappointing 2022 and 2023 season in Boston. But one of the things that has been percolating under the surface has been the fact that 2 extraordinarily high-profile teams that have all or nothing seasons going this year are the Yankees and the Dodgers. And anything less than a World Series title for the Dodgers is going to be pretty bad for Dave Roberts, because this team is loaded on MVPs. They've spent more money than anything. They've deferred money to bring in stars and all this stuff. Teoscar Hernandez has turned into a massive star. Shohei Ohtani's going another MVP. And even though they've had injuries to Yamamoto and Betts was putting together an MVP quality season. They're both probably going to come back soon. They're in first place, and the Dodgers seem to be on a roll, sweeping the Red Sox. They want to sweep the Giants, so they're coming back. But if they are not having a parade for a World Series title in Los Angeles, I don't care how good Philadelphia is, that's going to be a colossal letdown. As for New York, well, they haven't played in a World Series since 2009. That was Obama's first year in office. Let's put that in perspective, shall we? And since then, the Yankees have appeared in 0 World Series. Now, Aaron Boone apparently signed the same contract the Pope signed and can never have any criticism on him whatsoever. But if they don't win this year and Juan Soto leaves, and why wouldn't Juan Soto leave? If someone offers him more money, well, he looks around this Yankee lineup where, Ben Rice is supposedly the great savior, even though Ben Rice is batting under 200 at this point. I would leave too. And so if they don't win, a lot of talk and the mumbling has been, would the Dodgers go after Cora? Cora has roots to the Dodgers. Would the Yankees let go of Boone and bring in Cora? Well, guess what? That's off the table. That is off the table. So good news, Aaron Boone. You can have a Boone season, which is not making the World Series. And by the way, who the hell would pick the Yankees to go to the World Series at this point? I mean, even though they are a good team with 60 some odd wins and all, I mean, you could beat them in a short series. The Dodgers are a different story. The Dodgers are going to win that division. The Dodgers look very good, and it's easy to see them saying, all right, so maybe we won't win 110 games this year. But either way, the Red Sox have to keep Cora around. The Red Sox are going to keep Cora around for this crew, the Duran Devers crew, to win their pennant and maybe their title. We will see. We will absolutely see. And the aura of any wrongdoing that Cora has done in the past probably will not come back to haunt him. Now, one person who does have some baggage from the past has a birthday today. And I think it's worth talking not only about his birthday and honoring him, player who was one of my dad's all-time favorite players, hint, hint, those of you who know me, but also a chance to rethink his Hall of Fame candidacy. Let's talk a little bit to our friends over at SupplyHouse. Now, the site where you can order supplies that is made for skilled trades. Find thousands of parts from hundreds of brands in just a couple of clicks at SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com gives you 24/7 access to a huge selection of plumbing, h-vac, and electrical supplies with fast delivery anywhere in the United States. Need help with an order? Get industry-leading after-sales service from their friendly and knowledgeable customer support team. And talk to a real person every time. And there's great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors. Oh my! Being a pro has its perks. Trade industry professionals can join their Trade Master program for free, and you get free shipping and serious discounts on every order. Over 100,000 pros already trust the Trade Master program to deliver results. Apply for your membership today and get a competitive edge on every order at SupplyHouse.com/TM. Save money and time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from SupplyHouse.com. Real people, real service, real good at SupplyHouse.com. Hey, let's talk to our friends over at Gametime. You know all about Gametime. Gametime.co is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices and views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. I know where I like to sit at the ballpark. I like to sit behind home plate in the second deck, a little bit up the first base line. That's my favorite vantage point of the stadium. Well, with zone deals, I can go find the sections that I want to sit in, and Gametime can find me the best deal in that zone. And it's all in prices. You could get all your upfront costs, no surprise fees at checkout, and you get seat views. Get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying baseball tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, the lowest prices. Do you know what they are? They're guaranteed. Hey, where is your hub for all of your baseball, sports, news? Do you know where you should go? You should make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories in sports. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channel app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Hey, happy 60th birthday to Barry Lamar Bonds. Now, look, I know that maybe, just maybe, not everyone's the biggest fan of Barry Bonds, but I'm a little biased. My father, may he rest in peace, was the biggest Giants fan you'll ever meet, and he was a huge fan of Willie Mays. And when he saw Barry Bonds, well, my dad loved watching him play. So when I think of Barry Bonds, I think of my pop and how much joy he gave him. But Bonds was mean and surly. Yeah, how often did you ever hang out with him? I know I didn't, but I saw him hit a lot of home runs. I saw my dad smile. So that's all I need to know. And yes, I know. PEDs. Now, the other day, I was talking about A-Rod's eligibility. You know, Alex Rodriguez, the greatest third baseman in Yankee history and the best all-around hitter of his era. I said it might be time to reevaluate his Hall of Fame position, especially if we're just taking him out because of PEDs, but we're including people we know did juicing and people who are you would very strongly suspect did juicing. We're really going to take A-Rod out for that reason. Recommended 1782 said, "Oh, that's nice, but cheaters are not going to be in the Hall of Fame. Same as Barry Bonds." Well, and I said it might be time to say that ship has sailed. Seriously. Are we not going to have Bonds in there because of Balco? Why is Ivan Rodriguez in there? Ivan Rodriguez was in the same Balco situation. And by the way, David Ortiz has more dirty tests than Barry Bonds. And this is coming from me, okay? I want Pudge Rodriguez in the Hall of Fame. I want David Ortiz in the Hall of Fame. Is there ever been a more obvious juicer in the history of baseball than Jeff Bagwell? I believe Jeff Bagwell belongs in the Hall of Fame. I do. Maybe I'm more lenient on stuff like this. But I was thinking about this the other day. I went to baseballreference.com, the single greatest website in the history of the planet Earth. I was taking a good long look at the baseballreference.com page of Mr. Barry Lamar Bonds. Now, we all know what the narrative was around Bonds. Bonds was a lean, home run hitting, stolen base, all-around player. Spectacular defense, great speed, and then saw all the attention in 1998 that Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire were getting, and was like, well, I'm better than those guys. Why are they getting all the attention? And then the next year showed up looking like he bought one of those inflatable sumo suits. And then the next year after that, he started breaking all the records with a body that looked nothing like the one he had in Pittsburgh. He broke all the records, broke records we didn't even think were possible, and then retired or was not re-signed, and now has magically gone back to his thin body. Now, I've been saying for years, the way to deal with the Barry Bonds Hall of Fame issue is simple. Give him an at-bat every year. Every year, give him an at-bat and kick his Hall of Fame eligibility down the can a little bit. By the way, I don't know if you've seen Barry Bonds recently. I'm convinced he would start on 25 teams. Have you looked at the lineup the Yankees put out? They had J.D. Davis protecting Aaron Judge, okay? If I told you Barry Bonds was going to be protecting him, wouldn't you rather have 60-year-old Barry Bonds than J.D. Davis? If for no other reason that you know that Barry Bonds' baseball IQ is Oppenheimer level, and his baseball intelligence is off the charts, and that he would at least get on base. And that's you give him an at-bat every year and you push his eligibility down the way. But, okay. But the notion is that after 98, his body changed, his game changed, and then he went on to be hitting with 70-some-odd home runs a year, breaking, having an on-base percentage of like 500, and all the stuff. And he became a different player, blah, 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 blah. I don't think anyone looks at pre-1998 Barry Bonds as a roided-up dude. Oh, and by the way, when I was at Cooperstown, they don't have the busts of these players, but they had a bunch of displays about the steroid era where they mentioned steroids and the PED use and everything like that. The Hall of Fame is amazing. But when they have those montages that they include of great moments of baseball, they include McGwire and Sosa's chase. They include Bonds. They include Canseco's upper deck home run in the 1989 ALCS. And by the way, the Sosa-McGwire chase saved baseball. Baseball's popularity was lower than whale dung. And then everyone got into that. And a whole generation of it. Ask anyone who became a baseball fan in the 1990s. And they all fell in love with the game because of the Sosa-McGwire chase. I digress. I did a little bit of homework. And I took a look at Bonds' career. And I said, what if we just evaluated his Hall of Fame candidacy from his rookie year in 1986 until 1998? And that means I'm excluding 300 some odd homers. I'm taking 3 of his MVP years off the charts there. The years where he was breaking records off the charts, his 70-some-odd home run season. I'm removing that. That's the Jenga that I'm playing with and looking at him. And we'll be looking at his career from 1986 to 1998. Now, what would it include? It would include 3 most valuable players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gold gloves. Yes, I understand gold gloves are not the greatest metric, but at least it's someone you know is playing the position pretty well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 silver sluggers. He would have 1,917 hits, which is more than Hall of Famer Tony Oliva hit. He would have 411 home runs, which is more than Duke Snider hit, which is more than Al Kaline hit. This is ending it. He retired after the 1998 season. He slashed his averages for that period of time. Do you like batting average? His career batting average would have been 290. His on-base percentage at that point, not including all the other years that I mentioned, up until that point, his on-base percentage was 410. And his slugging was 556, which meant before he got jacked up, his OPS was 966 and led the league in OPS plus 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Was a home run champion. Still like RBIs, he led the league in RBI. And if you just want to put in a plaque that just included those, that would be a Hall of Fame worthy career. And then there's this kicker, because he achieved this in 1998. In 1998, when everyone was fascinated by McGwire and Sosa, Bonds stole his 400th base and hit his 400th home run. At that time, the number of players who hit 400 home runs with 400 stolen bases were Barry Bonds. That's it. If you want to create a plaque and say Barry Lamar Bonds, Pittsburgh, NL, San Francisco, NL, the owner of many home run records, the first player to hit 400 home runs and steal 400 bases, and 3-time MVP, and not include anything he did after 1998. That's still a worthy Hall of Fame plaque, and one that deserves to be up there, in my humble opinion. Oh, and by the way, regarding the trivia question, I forgot to say that Scott Horstmeyer got it right when I said who was the player that Jim Leyland specifically told was going to go to the major leagues, went into the Hall of Fame, and that was Jack Morris. I have no problem with Jack Morris in the Hall of Fame. I know a lot of people do. I understand the arguments for. I understand the arguments against. Jack Morris seemed like a pretty surly dude, too. The reason Bonds is not in the Hall of Fame is because people didn't like him. There are juicers in the Hall of Fame. We all know that. But people liked Bonds. Liked Big Papi. People liked Pudge Rodriguez. People liked, Bagwell and Piazza they have as many dirty tests as Bonds. So I say happy birthday, Barry Bonds. I believe you're a Hall of Famer. I wish some people did what I asked them to do and keep giving you an at-bat so you can outlive everybody. But at that point, I digress. When we come back, we're going to talk about not great players of the past, but current players that would be in the trade block, and maybe we shouldn't be too precious about our prospects. Today's episode of Locked On MLB is brought to you by our good friends over at Booking.com, or shall we say Booking.yeah. I love taking baseball trips, and I took a great one this year. Went to Buffalo, saw the Bisons play, went to Syracuse, saw the Syracuse Mets play, and drove over to Cooperstown, spent a couple of magical days at the Baseball Hall of Fame. And wherever I stayed, I went to Booking.com. I stayed in beautiful, by the way, Buffalo is beautiful. Beautiful downtown Buffalo in an old-fashioned hotel. I went to a nice, safe place in Syracuse near the campus, and then a beautiful inn within walking distance of the lake and the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. And at each place, I went to booking.com to book my stay. Do you know what? They can find you any type of room you need, from hotels that overlook the stadium to family-friendly resorts. Booking.com has so many choices across the United States for your summer travel this season. The right stay can make you the fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com, on the site, or on the Booking.com app. Booking.com? I think you mean Booking.yeah. All right, let's talk about our friends over at PrizePicks. You know what PrizePicks are. If you've been watching this show, you should know what PrizePicks is. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get it on daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. And you can turn your winnings pretty high these days. You get 100 times your money on PrizePicks. With as few as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000. And PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including Texas, Georgia, and right here in California. Download PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. You know, and in the end, it really is that easy. Hey, this is a reminder that Locked On has created the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Now it's available on the Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channel app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channel app. You know, a lot of teams are going to be looking at whether or not they should be dealing away some of their top prospects with the trade deadline right around the corner. And someone had said that any trade, someone wrote on my board, let's see if I can get the person who actually said it, so I give them credit. But it was, it's William Steffi, 3434, said, if I'm the Tigers and Skubal trade to Baltimore does not include Holiday, I'm hanging up. So he wants the best prospect for Skubal. And I have to say, I get where you're coming from on that. And I think that maybe teams should not be too precious with some of their prospects, especially if it's the difference between winning a title or not. 10 years ago was 2014, and the World Series was between two wildcard teams with fewer than 90 wins, the Giants and the Kansas City Royals. And they left in their wake a bunch of 90-some-odd win teams that had flaws here and flaws there. The Bryce Harper-led Nationals, the Mike Trout-led Angels, Buck Showalter's Orioles. These were all teams. The Cardinals, who were trying to win a title for the first time since Albert Pujols left. There was a lot of teams there. The Dodgers with Clayton Kershaw and Don Mattingly behind, managing the team. A lot of franchises could have had an image-changing title. Imagine Mike Trout's legacy if he had won a World Series then, or Don Mattingly's legacy if he had won a World Series with the Dodgers. I wonder how many of them held on to some of their top prospects instead of pulling the trigger on a trade that could have, made the difference. I went back at the beginning of the 2024 season, the top prospects in baseball. The top one was Byron Buxton of the Twins. I'm going to the Noah Syndergaard, Xander Bogaerts, Oscar Taveras, Miguel Sano, Archie Bradley, Taijuan Walker, Javier Baez, Carlos Correa, Chris Bryant, Francisco Lindor. Now, a lot of these players went on to become really solid players. You had let's just call him the problematic Addison Russell, or the Gregory Polanco, Jameson Taillon, Mark Appel, Albert Amora Jr., who did tag up, but Robert Stevenson, Dylan Bundy, George Springer, Travis d'Arnaud, Austin Hedges. There are players who went on to be big stars like Mookie Betts. And, Marcus Stroman turned out to be a solid player. But Alan Webster was also on there. Eddie Butler. You had, you had Jock Peterson on there and Corey Seager, but there was also Kyle Crick and Henry Owens. What I'm saying is, if you have a top prospect, and it's the difference between you winning it all or not. The number 5 prospect in baseball in 2014 was Archie Bradley. Now, if the Diamondbacks had traded Archie Bradley, I bet people would have been screaming bloody murder. What are you doing trading away a potentially great player? And Archie Bradley made it to the major leagues, and to Archie Bradley's credit, after he didn't quite pan out as a starter, had a couple of very good years as a relief pitcher. He became a solid major league reliever. But I wonder if a great player could have been acquired for him. I understand the value of prospects. I understand the can't miss, but a lot of can't miss misses. And if you're looking at a year, especially if you're Baltimore, especially if you're Cleveland, especially if you're LA, especially if you're Philadelphia, if you're looking at a year where the world is opening up to you, and the only thing that's holding you back from a legitimate pennant contention and not is letting go of someone who might be good in a couple of years, I would say pull the trigger. Look, Byron Buxton's had a nice career, but if the difference was holding on to Byron Buxton in 2014 or winning a title, I don't think there's a single person in the world who wouldn't pull the trigger on that. So we'll see what happens, because the trade deadline is less than a week away. We've got a bunch of comments. Let's see if they're just going to plow through these pretty quickly. Adam Scott Bristol said whale dung. Yeah, I said whale dung because I don't want to have an MA rating. Seelig is in the Hall of Fame, reminds Jeff Cohen. Yeah, there you go. Seelig, Tony La Russa, a lot of people who stood on the shoulders of steroid users. Garrett Clemens asked, any insights on the Braves trade? Catch up with me tomorrow. Adam Scott Bristol says, holding side trailer moves, Yanks need to injure to return, and some bets to start hitting league average. Yeah, time's running out for that. Time is running out with that. So, and the closer we get to the trade deadline, the more we're going to have some more stories and have it be more concrete. All right, wrapping up. Talking. Oh, let's do our trivia question. I forgot to do I said talking without doing the trivia question. The trivia question is, it's a simple one. Bob Melvin is now the number 25 on the all-time winning records for managers, but he's never won a pennant. Only 2 other managers have won more games as a manager than Bob Melvin and have never managed a team to the World Series. So along with Bob Melvin, who are the other 2 managers who managed the 25 highest win totals in Major League Baseball history without a pennant? All right, put those answers down at Locked On MLB Pods or on Twitter and Instagram or right here on YouTube. Now, talking about Alex Cora signing an extension, Barry Bonds belonging in the Hall, and let's not get too cute about our prospects. This has been Locked On MLB for the 24th day of July 2024. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.